What's up guys? I wanted to make this video on 3 gimbals that are really popular right now, and I feel like they're all similar in price range, similar in features. So I want to just kind of break down through them, 3 different companies. So first off, we have the Hohem iSteady V3 Ultra that recently just came out. We have the DJI Osmo Mobile 8, super popular. DJI is a big brand. And then we have the Insta360 Flow 2. This is the Flow 2. They actually have a Flow 2 Pro as well, but it's basically the same thing as the Flow 2. There's only a couple other tweaks. You know, obviously, I feel like that one would probably be a little bit more suited for the Osmo Mobile 8. They're very similar in that aspect, but this is very similar. It only has a little bit less features than the Flow 2 Pro, and I don't have the Flow 2 Pro, so I figured I'd just do this one as well. So we have Insta360, DJI, and then we have Hohem. And Hohem's is a company that focuses mainly on gimbals, so I thought it was interesting to include this one. And then DJI and Insta360 kind of recently just got into making gimbals now. But all 3 are really great gimbals, honestly. I just wanted to kind of break down the different features of each one, so that way you could see, you know, in case you're thinking about maybe getting, you know, you didn't know which one you should get, this video hopefully could help out. So let's get in the video. All right, so here are all of them kind of up close so you can see a little bit better. As you can see, all 3 of these do have their own built-in tripod. I will say the Hohem tripod is a little bit thinner. The DJI is the widest, or like the thickest tripod legs, but then the Insta360 Flow 2 actually has the longest tripod legs. And so if you're talking about like stability, I would say that the Insta360 Flow 2 actually has the most stable gimbal in the tripod mode, just because they're wider. Because they're longer. However, because the DJI is wider, I feel like it is very stable. Honestly, all 3 of them are very stable as well. I will say though, kind of putting in the legs on the Hohem, you do have to, you know, kind of individually take them out, which is kind of annoying. So that's one thing to think about. You know, it's a little bit harder to take them out on the Hohem gimbal versus the DJI. You know, kind of all 3 of them pull out super easily. You can just pull them in, and then you can kind of just pull out all 3 at the same time. And then the Insta360, it kind of is the same thing. You can kind of put them all, take them all out at once, but it is a little bit harder. It's kind of more individual as well. However, the most stable I would say is the Insta360, as far as like just being as a tripod, but the DJI is the easiest to actually take out. And then the Hohem, it works great as well. It's just they're a lot thinner legs, and you kind of have to individually take them out. All 3 of these gimbals do fold down as well. So all 3 of them, here's the DJI, it folds down. The Insta360 actually folds the other way. So it folds down this way like this, boom. But they all fold down super small, and they all come with a carrying bag as well. And so you can easily carry them with you. I will say, I do feel like the Hohem V3 Ultra is a little bit, it's probably the smallest, probably the easiest to fit in your bag if you know, are looking for kind of a smaller option. But they all fold down pretty small, and they're all able to go in a bag. And they all actually have these mounting points right here on the bottom. And so all 3 of them actually do have a mounting point. So you can actually all, you know, you can mount these all on a tripod. Same thing with Insta360s. And so if you do want to mount it on a tripod, you can do that for all 3 as well, which is super nice. And another feature, before I get into some of the differences, another feature that they all 3 have as well actually is that they all have a built-in selfie stick. So you can actually pull them out like this, and then you can actually adjust the angle as well. So if you are kind of filming cars or stuff like that and you want to get kind of a lower shot, the Insta360 has a tripod arm or a selfie stick arm. The DJI also has it, and then you can also adjust as well. You can also adjust the angle as well, like this. Boom, boom, down like that, depending on how you want to shoot. And the Hohem V3 Ultra, same thing, you can pull out, and you can also adjust the angle as well. So that's really cool in all of them. If you want to use them as a selfie stick for vlogging, all 3 of them are going to be great options for that as well. They're honestly all pretty much the same height. Maybe DJI and Insta360 are a little bit taller. As you can see, the DJI and Insta360 have a couple more like points versus the V3 Ultra only has 3 points. And so, you know, adjusting the height to kind of lock it into place, you might be able to adjust it a little bit better on these 2. However, it's basically the same thing. You know, you can actually stop it at, you can actually stop it at any point you want. And so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, they all pretty much go to the same height as well. And also, if you notice, all 3 of these do have AI trackers. I'll actually be testing that here in a little bit, so you guys can see kind of which one tracks the fastest, which one tracks the best. But as you can see, they're kind of different designs here. So one thing that's pretty cool about the Osmo Mobile 8 and the Insta360 is that these mounts actually come off, or these little brackets. And so you can actually put this around your phone, and then you can easily magnetically you know, just mount this back into the gimbal. So when you're not using the gimbal, you can easily just take your phone off it and it's ready to go. Same thing with Insta360s right here. And Insta360 also has a MagSafe version where it just goes right onto the back of your phone instead of kind of these grips. And so that's actually a cool feature that Insta360 has that the DJI does not, is you can actually get MagSafe, but you can pop them into place. And then the Hohem actually doesn't have, it's not removable, it's just these grips right here that you put around your phone. And so that's kind of maybe an advantage of the DJI Insta360. One thing that is nice though, I will say the Insta360 over the DJI on those magnetic mounts is that on the DJI, the AI tracker is actually connected to this right here. And so when you take your phone off, you're always gonna have that AI tracker kind of clipped onto it, which is kind of annoying. You can take it off if you want. But the Insta360, the magnetic clip is just for your phone like this. Or if you have the MagSafe, it's even better, but the AI tracker is actually just attached to the gimbal itself, so you don't have to carry around, you know, the AI tracker, which is kind of annoying. And then same thing, you know, with the Hohem, it just magnetically clips on to the side as well, but you can't remove this. And on all three of these, you can also remove the AI tracker and flip it the other way, so depending on which way you're filming. But now going along with that, I wanted to talk about the controls. So all of these, the controls basically are on the front right here. So you have these different joysticks. And I will say the Insta360 has my least favorite joystick. It doesn't stick out as much. But yeah, it's got a joystick right here. The DJI sticks out more and it's a lot easier to kind of move around. But these joysticks can control the gimbal, so they can control the arms to move left to right, up and down. And you can control the speed of them in the apps, or in the app. So they all three have an app. You got the Hohem app, the DJI, and the Insta360 app. And then you also, on Hohem, a little bit smaller than DJI, but you also get this little joystick on here, and you actually get this removable thing, which I'll talk about, which I really like on the Hohem. But yeah, on the Insta360, it's a little bit harder to understand as well, because you basically just have this dial right here. To turn it on, all you do is you just hold down the bottom for like 3 seconds, and then it'll turn on, and it'll balance itself out. If you click the bottom here, you can switch between the different gimbal modes. So all these gimbals have the same modes. They have, you know, the 4 main gimbal modes. They all work well, honestly, for stabilizing your phone. For gimbals, they all have the same modes, but as you can see on the Insta360, I feel like it's a little bit easier, or on the DJI, it's a little bit easier to see. To turn it on, you hold down the mode button. And if you do want to switch between the different modes, you just click M, and it actually reads it on the screen. You can see which different modes you switch to. So there's 4 different modes. There's 4 different modes on the Insta360, and there's 4 different modes on the Hohem as well. But you can kind of see it a little bit better. And then you have your record button right here. You have this button if you want to change between vertical and horizontal mode with your phone on there. And then the Insta360, it's the same thing. You can switch between different modes. However, you can't see it as well, just because right here there's like a little bit, there's a little screen. Where on Insta360, let me actually put a phone here so you can see. Whereas on the Insta360, you can't really see it. There's not a screen. You just see the different modes by this light. And so when you click the bottom right here, you'll know which mode you're in by which side this is on. Then you do have this rotate button as well. If you want to go from, you know, vertical to horizontal, you can click that. But I feel like it's not as visible versus the DJI. And then the Hohem, in my opinion, actually has the best option. So to turn it on, it has its own power button right here. You just hold it down like this and it turns on. And then you actually have a touchscreen, which is super nice in my opinion to have, kind of like the same price range in all 3 of them. This one's really cool. And this is actually my favorite one in my opinion because of this feature, is that this actually has a removable remote, and you know, you can control the gimbal with the joystick, moving left to right, up and down. Sorry, I just turned on the light there. Let me turn off the light. Left and right, but you actually have a touch screen where you can see all the different modes. So you can just see the exact mode that you're in right here, and you can just switch between all the different modes, you know, POV mode, PF mode, PTF mode, and lock mode. And so you can switch that as well. And on this control as well, you can switch the orientation right here like this, boom, really easily. You can adjust the speed as well of the gimbal right here. So you can click the joystick and you can adjust the speed, you know, how fast you want the gimbal to follow you, how fast you want the remote or the joystick to go, and you can just adjust all of it right here on the screen. And it's just a touch screen, which is super cool. You can also click different scenarios. You know, if you want it to just rotate like this, boom, you can click it, and then you can like rotate your phone. There's just a bunch of different things you can do with this little screen, which I really like, and I think that's cool. It makes it a lot easier to understand and adjust the different modes with this screen. And I do just kind of want to show you guys each one with the phone. As you can see, it does, you know, you can move it around depending on which mode you're in, and it does stabilize it really well. Here's the Insta360 Flow 2. Here's the joystick as well. On the Flow 2, it doesn't rotate 360 degrees around. It's 360 degrees, but then it stops. On the Flow 2 Pro, it does have that. So if you do want to have a complete 360 degrees, go for the Flow 2 Pro. But this is the Flow 2. On the Insta360, stabilizes your phone really well as well. And you got the joystick right here that moves it around really easily as well. This one actually can go completely 360 degrees, so you can just keep, you know, putting the joystick forever and it'll keep going, which is super nice. And then on the Hohem, same thing, stabilizes your phone really well. And also on Hohem, you can actually rotate it just forever, you know, 360 degrees, just like the DJI one. And so that's something else cool about this one. If you get the Flow 2 Pro, they all have that, but that's a cool feature that you can keep going, you know, 360 degrees on both of those, and then on the Flow 2 Pro as well, but not the Flow 2. And all three of these as well do have a trigger on the back, and on the trigger, you know, if you hold it, if you click it 3 times on all 3 of them, let me put it back to the front. If you click it 3 times, it'll go from front to back, so you can adjust your camera, you know, if you wanted to go it away from you or front. They all have that, and they have some other features as well, which is super nice. Here's the trigger on the DJI, and it's the same thing. If you click it 3 times on all 3 of them, you can go from, you know, front to back, and there's some other controls as well. I won't get into every single control, but there's pretty much all the same controls. Some of them you just have to click different ways, like double click and things like that. But you can all switch between vertical and horizontal mode with your phone on all 3 of these, and then you can all switch from front to back camera on all these, depending how you're filming. But now I wanted to talk about the AI tracker. I'm gonna do some speed tests. You can see how fast it's able to track on each 3 of these. But one feature I really wanted to mention that I really like about the Hohem is that this remote is actually detachable. And with that, you can actually go over here and you can connect to the AI tracker, and it's actually a camera. So I don't know if you can see that. But I can actually see on the screen, you know, what my AI tracker is seeing. And one thing you can do with it is you can actually circle an object. Right now it's not gonna work because there's too many things. Like I'm behind a tripod here, but you can actually circle an object and then you can double click it, and then it'll actually active track that object. And so it makes it really nice. You know, a lot of these ones right here, these can use the AI tracker, but if you wanna track a specific object, you have to go into the specific apps and do that on your phone, versus this one, you don't even need the app. You can just active track right from this, because you can just put a square on an object right from here, and that's really cool. And it's just cool because, you know, you can be, if you're filming by yourself and you don't have a filmmaker, you know, you can just use this thing to follow you around. Or, you know, if you don't want to active track something, but you want to just go to a specific object, you know, you can use this joystick and you basically have your own filmmaker while you're filming yourself in a video. And you can see, you know, that your camera's in frame right here. And yeah, if you're using the back camera of your phone, you know, and you can't see yourself on screen, you can see yourself with this right here, which is also really cool. And, you know, those two don't have. But I do want to show you guys the active track. So right now I'm on the Insta360. I'll put all of them up on the screen. This is the Insta360 Flow 2. If you want the AI tracker to track you, you just go like this. You put your fingers up, it'll turn green, and now it's tracking me. So here's the speed, Insta360 Flow 2. Honestly, super fast. I can go down, I can go up. Maybe it's a little bit late if you go super fast. But it's honestly pretty good, especially in horizontal mode. In vertical mode, it might be a little bit slower, but here it is right there. So that's Insta360, honestly pretty good. If you want to stop it, you just do another 5 fingers like that. You can also do a different mode where you can frame yourself in the screen as well. And you can track yourself like only to the right of the screen. And you can also do that on the DJI as well. And here's the DJI one, same thing. Put up 5 fingers and it'll track you. And here is the speed of the DJI. The vertical is a little bit slower, but the horizontal is really fast. I will say I feel like the horizontal is a little bit faster than Insta360, at least when I've tested out in the vertical mode. But pretty awesome that it does that just with the AI tracker. All right, and then here it is on the Hohem. On the Hohem, it's a little bit different. You do this sign right here, and then it turns on, and let's see how fast it goes. Once again, super fast. See if I go down. I will say I feel like the vertical is a little bit better on the Hohem, going up and down. Look at how fast that is, guys. There we go. All right, so I hope that can kind of help you guys see how fast these things work. Honestly, all three of them work great for AI tracking. I feel like for going up and down, I feel like the Hohem actually did the best, but side to side, honestly, all three of them performed great. Maybe the DJI was a little bit faster than the Insta360, but I feel like the Hohem was actually the fastest for the tracking. But overall, all three of them do a great job. So pretty cool to see, that they all work really well, and you just do it hand signal, so you don't even have to be like near the gimbal. You can be a little bit further away, and then all three will track you. All right, but now something I just wanted to show you guys with the Hohem, something that's pretty cool also is, like I mentioned earlier with the AI tracker, is on here, you can do this with the DJI and the Insta360 in the app, but you have to have the app open. With this one, you don't even have to have the app open. And if you want to track a specific object, sorry, the camera makes it, you can't really see it very well, but I can draw a square on an object and double tap it, and it makes a green box. And then what's going to happen is the phone will actually, or the AI tracker in the phone's right above it, will actually track that object. And so right now, it was just tracking the DJI gimbal, but that's a really cool feature that why is the camera so out of focus? Sorry, I don't know why it was so out of focus, but that's another cool feature. You can draw around an object and you can specifically track a specific thing to get some really cool like B-roll shots and things like that. And you can do that on the DJI and you can do that on the Insta360, but you have to use the app. And you can also do that through the app on Hohem, but it is really nice that you can just, do it right from the remote right here, and you can just AI track specific objects. All right, so I hope that kind of help you guys see some of the benefits and features of each one. Obviously, there's more features as well. There's like the NFC as well thing with Apple Dock Kit on the DJI as well. And this one, there's a couple other features, but I kind of want to just point out the main ones. And as far as just my overall pick, honestly, you can probably tell from the video, but I just really like this controller. I think it's really unique and cool that you can remove this controller and you can see yourself, especially, with these, when you're filming with your phone, you can't see, you want to use the back camera on your phone because it's better quality than the front camera, which means you can't see yourself. But with this, because the AI tracker is connected to it and it's right below your phone, you can see if you're in frame or not with this, and you can control it. If you do film by yourself, you can control it from far away with this remote. And so because of that feature, honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Hohem V3 Ultra, especially because they're all pretty much the same, close to the same price. But as far as like the quality goes, honestly, I think the DJI, maybe I do like the joystick on the DJI and this little screen right here as well. And honestly, you can't go wrong with any of these. If you're in the Insta360 ecosystem, I'd probably get the Insta360. If you're in the DJI ecosystem and you have DJI microphones, stuff like that, this is also nice because you can connect your microphone to this and stuff like that. And so it really just depends on what ecosystem you're in. But personal preference, if you do film by yourself, I would say the Hohem V3 Ultra is the best in my opinion, just because of that remote feature. But they all work great. The AI tracking works great on all three of these, and they all have really nice features. So it kind of depends on your preference. For my preference, I'm going to go with the Hohem V3 Ultra, but they're all great options in my opinion, and I hope that could help you guys see some of the features of each one.